We think it's like Goldilocks, where you don't want to tell everybody everything. The studies seem to suggest that makes people focus too much on the pay.
Right. So let me explain that a little bit.
All right.
So if it's too clear, what happens is that as transparency occurs with salary, the bands get more and more narrow.
Yeah.
And there's less negotiating room.
Yeah.
And it's similar to like the people that you compare yourself to the most ferociously are the people who are most similar to you. And in doing so, you will find huge differences in small things. So I have identical twin nieces. And I remember being at my sister's house one time and she had put away the laundry. And one of the nieces came in and was like really just raging at my sister for having put her jeans in the other one's drawer. So A was raging about B getting her jeans. And A was like, I don't know how you could make that mistake. I'm so much taller than her. Literally less than a half an inch difference between these two girls. And that is what you see when the math is easier, when you can make comparisons,
right.
Just
easily.
one-to-one, easy.
Boom.
Like
Yeah.
people are not good with complicated adjustments and comparisons. And because they're not, they actually just stop comparing. And so when you make it super transparent and then you have the compression happening, what happens is that now I've got one-to-one comparisons I can make with you, and any difference at all, I'm going to think about and I'm going to probably challenge because it's clear to me what those differences are.
Yeah, it's a good insight. Yeah, that it makes the band narrower that the company ends up paying. No transparency and people go fishing in the old rumor mill.
Well, and these organizations are sometimes like, don't talk about salary. Well, that's exactly when I'm going to talk about salaries. You telling me not to talk about salary.
Yes, and most companies, when they post a job, put a range.
Well,
so
in some places they have to legally.
Yeah.
That's mixed by state.
Yeah. Yeah, so that becomes the...
Yeah.
So you're not, there's... Why do you think that, or do you think that in most places with open records, this isn't an issue?
We have both worked in places with open records and really didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I'm a weirdo.
Or that if the fact that it's open records in, these are government organizations, means that they've actually put more thought into what everybody's getting paid.
I think there's that. I think there's that component, but also it's really clear, I remember getting hired on for my first job at UT. I was an MBA, and it's really simple. You have this level of education, you make X.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to negotiate on. And I know everybody who's got my same level of education is making X.
Yeah, and a lot of these places, the other benefit, the conflating factor is they're very, very old. And so University of Texas is, 170 years old. I don't know if that's the number. The city of, pick your city, that's 200 years old or whatever. I mean, they've had a very long time to think through how we pay, what we pay, the different types of jobs.
Now, I do think that any organization can get caught. So this is the downside of transparency too, is that when we went through the Great Resignation, that salaries were jumping so fast.
Sure.
That some organizations were literally paying more to new people than older people because they couldn't afford to adjust everybody up.
Ballistic.
Right. Reasonably so that they went ballistic because they were getting penalized for staying.
I remember that.
But you can see how the organization's actually in a real bind.
Yeah.
Because they're scrambling with the resources they have to meet the new demand and get the employees.
Where's the money coming from?
But they can't actually do everybody.
Yeah. Goldilocks. Some pay transparency good, too much.
Or maybe it's good at some times and not so good at other times.
What do you mean by that?
It's good when the labor market is
I see what
stable.
you're saying.
Not so good when the labor market is on fire. There's inflation.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this podcast and you think you're not being paid enough, here's what we tell all the people we
go
coach.
out and apply to jobs you would actually take.
Go find a real job, and that will be your best. Gently, I would say, who are you comparing yourself to and how accurate are those? But if you want the gold standard litmus test, go find a job you would actually take and run a legit experiment and come back with a job in hand and a new number in hand, and then see how do not think, as Cindi mentioned, that you are going to be able to parlay that inside, because there's no guarantee of what you get. For every one that gets an outside job and is able to get more on the inside, we probably see 2 where they say good riddance.
Yeah, so let me just address that briefly. I don't think that managers should do this. Like, if somebody comes back and has a different job, I don't think you should get angry at them. I mean, really, it's just everybody trying to have a good life. And sometimes that means that the manager can't meet it, and it's too bad that the person's leaving, but they're doing what's best for their life, and they didn't sign on for a lifetime commitment. So buck up and don't be a dick. But the reason why there's a high percentage of people who really get their feelings hurt about this is because you leaving the group or the organization is a form of rejection. And so be prepared that when you do that, or even when you signal that you're willing to do that, that's part of their reaction is, oh, you're rejecting me, well, I'm rejecting you.
Yeah. Most places we work, people understand. They're completely human and elegant and sophisticated about it, but not all.
A pretty high percent of you, and it's not the place, it's
the
manager, and some of that is the level of maturity of the manager in terms of like being a manager, not like as a human being.
Yep.